I witnessed when I was in Portland. Portland, let me shift to Portland for a second. I mean, I suffered some of the worst time of my life in Portland, Oregon. But my story is not unique, believe it or not. Like, I shit you not. Like, remember, Steubenville was not a, it suffered its own economic crisis, its own economic losses, extended over a long period of misery. But I've never witnessed such a profound change in the vibe of a city like I did with Portland, Oregon. And I don't know if I can really effectively articulate this in words, just how depressing this feeling was of seeing, because I had several snapshots into Portland. I mean, for some of you guys who know, Portland was a place that I had my heart on for at least 8 years of my life. That was my dream city, baby. That was where I wanted to go and make a future for myself, do the whole green movement, weed smoking, queer loving lifestyle there, man. But boy, was I a fucking fool. Fuck, man. I was a fool. Because, again, Portland was a place I'd sort of seen indirectly since about 2010, from about 2010 to 2020. So I sort of like watched Portland, Oregon, how it's developed over the last 10 years. And girl, it ain't pretty. Okay, let me tell you, it ain't not pretty. Specifically, when I was there, let me give some data points here, okay? Put this down for a moment, actually. I don't even have any more weed. This is a rare moment of seeing Mike George Facebook Live with no weed. This is me sober, baby. if you will. So Portland, Oregon in 2010 was a wonderful place, full of hippies, stoners, the most, some of the, it was the type of place that you just walk around downtown Portland and you'd smell weed in the air. You'd see like every other person holding a joint in their hand, and half the time somebody would offer you one, Like people were really just like cool and laid back and like friendly. It was it just felt like a very loving place. A very loving place that actually cared about the environment and cared about some of the broader things that don't that aren't directly selfish really related, environment, social justice, etc. But man, comparing Portland in 2010 versus Portland in 2020, girl, very few things describe the heartbreak of seeing an entire city of people, an entire mass of persons, all collectively lose hope. Like and mind you, I indirectly witnessed. I only sort of witnessed snapshots, and then finally lived there in 2020 through the hell of it all, of seeing a place as wonderful as Portland, Oregon, just completely, utterly deteriorate into shit. And this doesn't just go for like the building, this isn't just a matter of buildings being abandoned and businesses moving out and yada yada. This is something far deeper. This is witnessing 100,000 people or so collectively lose hope. And I know that sounds kind of like abstract and wishy-washy and shit, but Portland in 2020, when I was homeless there, I'd be damned if anybody would offer me a joint like they might have in 2010. My God, it's literally impossible, because I'm pretty sure that a good 40% of Portland, Oregon, and I'm not exaggerating, girl, I am not exaggerating when I say 40%, at least of the queer population, there is homeless. There are no more joints left to give. It is, and seeing the net effect of this humongous influx of homeless people, and seeing the impact that has just on the everyday person who's not homeless, it was profound. It was profound, because let's just pick out a random person from the Portland city, like the average, like maybe say middle class person, As I said before, perhaps in 2010, that person would have been really cool to hang out with. And like, maybe we would hang out and like she'd offer me a joint or something. Like if I just randomly went up to her on the street and just made chit chat. That will never happen in 2020, girl. What you instead see in 2020 is practically a bombed out landscape of abandonment and meth. And girl, I'm pretty certain that all of us by now have seen some, through some indirect fashion, the effects of this shit. And anyways, like, I don't mean to like hark on that shit, obviously, but like just the collective result is Portland went from a wonderful little oasis of weed smoking, hippiness to a really depressing, a really depressing shit show in which even the people that want to help each other can't. Like, they're just seeing the look on somebody's face when a homeless person walks up to them and tries, and needs money. Looking at the face of that middle-class person, with the purse and everything, I'll never forget. It's just the look of somebody who really wants to give that dollar out to the homeless person. You can tell she wants to give that dollar out, but she just can't. Maybe she's broke herself. Or maybe she's just kind of like just accepted the fact that that dollar that she gives out is not going to change a damn thing. There's that collective loss of hopelessness. That collective loss of hope that has kind of permeated the city. And goddamn, I don't know how to really put that in words, because that is something that is truly a vibe that has to be felt in order to be fully appreciated, I think. And it's not the same type of vibe that I've ever felt in Steubenville either. Like, Steubenville went through its own economic decline, but I think that decline was sort of slow and steady enough to be somewhat not a shit show. But damn, like, Portland, Oregon just left a very profound impression in my heart, not only just for my personal experience being homeless there, but just for witnessing the collective result of 100,000 people or so all losing hope and all kind of feeling that sense of, even if I do give this dollar out to this person, it will do nothing. It will change nothing. And that feeling sucks, man. That feeling really sucks. It has to be one of the worst feelings. The worst, like, sort of, oh God, it has been one of the worst feelings of my life. Seeing that. And girl, I refuse to let that type of thing happen in Ohio. And I don't know if that's gonna, that's unfair to assume that Ohio's gonna go through the same shit, This is, the Ohio thing, what I'm seeing in Ohio is the right, that's different. That's all the fucking right-wing people. The people that call themselves Republicans. I love that.